from the FS garage. There's a woman who we'll refer to as Mabel who suffers from a condition known as nystagmus. Nystagmus is a vision condition in which the eyes make repetitive, uncontrolled movements, and these movements result in reduced vision and depth perception and can affect balance and coordination. We were approached by a friend who wondered if it would be possible to use a virtual reality headset with eye tracking to stabilize visual content for her. The idea was that if we could track her eye movements, we could move the content around so that it would appear stationary. Not all VR headsets offer eye tracking, and most that do require that both of the subject's eyes converge or look at the same spot. We needed a headset that gave us access to lower level data because Mabel's eyes move independently and don't converge. We chose the Vive Pro Eye headset, which allows us to use a special API that gives us access to the low-level eye tracking data for each eye. We wanted to minimize the amount of disruption to her life, so we decided to first create an app that simply captured the eye tracking data to a file when she was presented with a series of test content. Not only would the data be useful to analyze the eye movements so we could determine how to compensate for them, but we could use the captured data to test out different strategies by playing it back as though it came from her. Our tests consisted of several stages where she would try to look at a white dot that was either stationary or moving. We also had a section where she would try to read some text, and another section where we recorded her eye movements with no visual content to get an idea of how her eyes moved when she was not trying to focus on something specific. We recorded multiple trials using the test app and recording the eye movements so we could review them later. Because her left and right eye are not synchronized, she wears a patch over one eye most of the time. So we recorded her doing the tests with each eye blocked as well as a test with both eyes. Once we had some recorded data, we went into an analysis phase to determine if and how we could use the eye tracking data to move content around so that it would appear stationary. While it would be trivially easy to simply move content according to her eye movements, she would never be able to look at anything other than the center of the content. In order to truly help her condition, we need to be able to tell when she's intentionally trying to look elsewhere in the scene and to allow her to do so without moving the content to match. Once she's decided where to look, then we can move the content in sync with her involuntary movements. In other words, we need to be able to distinguish the involuntary movements from the voluntary movements. This is basically where the project stands currently. We're looking at the data and sharing it with the experts in signal processing in order to determine how to distinguish between her voluntary and involuntary movements. Once we can do that, we will be able to proceed with trying to stabilize the content while still allowing her to shift her gaze voluntarily.